Well, hello and welcome to episode number 445 of the Plain Talking UK podcast. Carlos here, and in this week's show, things get all stingy with BA and its flying cars in Australia, and Emirates builds an A380 out of plastic. Or do they? In the military news this week, a UH-60 appears and it's not in the USA, and a B-17 takes a trip, but not in the air. So, joining me this week over in the PTUK Master Suite Studios. I missed you last week, Matt.
Oh, thank you. We missed you too, to be fair.
Oh,
we soldiered on without you. We soldiered on. We did all right, you know. We soldiered on, but you were missed. Don't worry.
It was quite strange, actually, doing a radio show and watching, not listening, I might add, watching PTUK on the other screen.
I'd like to think you were a bit busy.
Well, in between songs.
Absolutely.
But no, it was good fun. But I have to admit, I did listen back to last week's show whilst I was driving the lorry this week, and it was a thoroughly enjoyable show. Yeah,
it was. We had a real belter, actually. Andy was on proper form. Armando was on good form as well, even if he was a little bit late to the party. We did something that I know Nev would have been fuming about, because we did delay the start just by a fraction to make sure he was there.
Oh.
But I know.
But it was a good show, though. I enjoyed it, Matt. Well done.
Yeah, indeed. Speaking of Nev, good
news.
Yes,
he's back with us this week. It's the man who, over the last 3 weeks, has kept BA in the air and in the green in the banks.
Oh.
It's, of course, Neville Bounds.
Yes, well, I have certainly done my fair share of flying with the airline over the last 3 weeks. Really enjoyed it, but everybody is so tired. Because the quick summary is that we did a week show in Barcelona, then we had a week off. I say a week off, a week of normal work, but I ended up going to Stockholm for 2 days. Then it was Dallas for a week and a bit, followed by Portland, Oregon, the other Portland, as I would say to Micah. But we've all come back on Monday and thinking, we don't feel too bad. But as the week has gone on, I was on a meeting this afternoon with some of my colleagues, and we are all hanging a bit.
Flagging, I think.
Recovered from the whole
flagging
experience. So I hope I won't nod off during the show. But I'll tell you all about my travels and experiences a bit later on.
Yeah, certainly. We're going to have a big catch up with Nev later on the show, because he's got a bit of an old school part of the show, I think we'll call it, Nev. It's a bit of an NPE.
Oh,
yeah.
Nev's passenger experience. We haven't had one of those for a while, but we're going to have a chat with Nev later, because you have flown on a few different aircraft over the last few weeks, haven't you, Nev?
I have, yes.
Yeah. So more on that later, so stay tuned. But say hello to everyone who's joined us in the YouTube chat room this evening. Going to say hello. Let's go to the top of the list. Who was in there first this evening? Lee Davies was in there. Hello to you, Lee. He's going to be off early to bed tonight, as it's Christmas tomorrow. The TAS Fair at Manchester, a superb day out. And it's also on Sunday as well. Sunday, apparently, according to Lee, they're going to get the hydraulics moving on the Nimrod Bay Bombay doors as well there. So, I hadn't seen that one advertised. Bit of a trek for me and Matt to get to, and Nev as well, though, to be fair. Hello to Alan White. Hello to you, Alan. Mazoos, hello to you, Mazoos. Nice to see you in there, our local listener, Mazoos. Hobby Time, good evening to you as well. Bill, hello, Bill. Good to see you in there as well. Happy Friday, Bill, to you as well. APG Show is also in there this evening.
I've heard of them.
We have heard of him, haven't we? Yeah. Evan Shue, he's joining us as well. I dread to think what time it is where Evan is.
Half past silly o'clock.
60 past 4 minus 12 or something like that.
Right.
Our main man, Uncle Micah, is also in there. He is wielding the blue spanner of doom, as always, looking after the chat room. Captain Ridiculous Wits, hello to you as well. Good to see you in there. And Masha, hello, Masha. Good to see you in the chat room as well this week, as always. And a welcome to one and all for joining us this Friday night. We are missing Armando tonight. Unfortunately, Armando is busy doing, well, you really don't have to ask the question, really. Armando's doing what Armando does, which is fly aircraft. and he's having lots of fun doing that apparently at the moment. More on that next week, hopefully. We'll have him back on the show. Don't forget, if you are listening to our glorious voices on a audio podcast and you want to see how stunning we all look on the visual side of things, don't forget to check out YouTube and also subscribe to Plain Talking UK on there and click that bell icon to be notified when we are live and on air, as we are right now, because we'd love to have you in our chat room.
Absolutely.
And absolutely, yes. So we've got lots to get through tonight. We've got loads of news to get through, and obviously we're going to have a chat with Nev. We've got some military news as well, so don't panic. I know Jonathan Warner will be in there at some point this evening. Hopefully, he will love the military news this week, as always. But if everyone's ready, if the team is ready, let's do some commercial news.
Okay, let's go.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your seatbelts.
And also, Matt, you've had Lee Davis has said in the chat room, your backdrop is awesome.
Yes, it's the old Vulcan, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, the Vulcan.
Yeah.
Very good indeed. This first story comes to us from flyingmag.com, airspeeder.com. That's an interesting website, Airspeeder, and Wikipedia as well. And it's crewed flying race car debuts in Australia. So one for Grant McCarran and Steve Vischer, this one. Alauda Aeronautics may be ushering in a new era with its release of the Airspeeder Mark IV, its first crewed flying race car. The company touts the hydrogen-powered car as the world's fastest eVTOL aircraft with a top speed of 225 miles per hour, nearly as fast as Nev's banana. Alauda plans to publicly unveil the Mark IV at the South Star Innovation Festival on March the 9th. It will begin crewed flight testing this spring and expects the flying car to race in its Airspeeder Racing Championships next year. And what will Airspeeder race itself? Its team entries are open for crews to join the roster in a competition of skill in Alauda flying cars. The Mark IV's Thunderstrike engine utilises 3D printed parts and technology developed for rocket engines, and the engine emissions will be pure water. Primarily, the Mark IV uses a gimbaled thrust system and artificial intelligence flight controls adjustments for steering, which the company says is far more precise than the tilt rotor steering used by most eVTOLs. Matt's popped the pictures up on the screen there for those of you watching in YouTube. Well, it looks very smart. Airspeeder is an electric flying vehicle racing series based in London, United Kingdom. The aircraft uses electric vertical takeoff and landing, or eVTOL, technology and are designed to be crewed by human pilots. The first remotely piloted drag race between two Airspeeder aircraft took place in November 2021. A remotely piloted racing series, Airspeeder EXA, began in 2022. For the 2022 Airspeeder EXA series, pilots will operate their speeders remotely using VR first-person view haptic suits. Although Airspeeder has yet to name racing locations, it previously targeted desert locals like Kuba Pedy in South Australia or the Mojave Desert in the US state of California. Airspeeder has also noted that races could theoretically take place on any terrain in the sky tracks that utilise augmented reality. The series currently has 3 confirmed pilots, but Airspeeder plans on increasing that to 5 by the start of the season. So, Nev, better get your application form in.
I was going to say, yes, where can I sign up? Sounds great.
They are beautiful.
So this is like race cars in the sky.
These look beautiful. I mean, actually, all jokes aside, let me just pop up there. I know it's an artist's impression and all that kind of thing, but I mean, they look stunning, don't they?
If they look as good as that in real life, then I'll
Yeah.
be really impressed. I will be really impressed.
Yeah, there's something about I quite like it's got that sort of sleek design feel about it, hasn't it? Look, it feels really good. If as I say, I'll make sure the links are in the show notes. Obviously, if you want to take a look at these, if you're listening to the audio version of the show, but they are really they look like drones, but sort of like very very polished and sleek. They do literally look like they look a bit like what's the Sterling Moss car that he used to drive. It's got a real that little green Bullet car.
Right, yeah.
It's got that real sort of look about it, but with props on, isn't it? I love it. I just think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I imagine what your banana would look like, Nev. With
Well, that's
eVTOL propellers on.
Yeah, I think it might have to. In fact, I'm just due to renew the insurance in the next week or so. Perhaps if I did that, they might want to. The premium might go up somewhat.
Indeed.
So with the car.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I'm here all week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay, we'll move on then while Carlos is having his nervous
Matt.
breakdown. Yes.
This story, Matt. I saw this break earlier on in the week, and I thought I didn't know what the cause of this was, but Matt, you have the answer.
Indeed. Severed cable forces Lufthansa to cancel more than 140 flights. This is in the New York Times, nytimes.com, and also the register.com as well. Thousands of airline passengers were stranded in Germany around the world after a severed telecommunications cable knocked out Lufthansa's digital systems, the company said Wednesday, forcing the cancellation of more than 140 flights. Lufthansa said it had been affected by an IT outage caused by construction work in the Frankfurt region and urged passengers travelling within Germany to rebook their travel on trains. Frankfurt is Lufthansa's main hub in Germany, and the international airport is the country's largest. Deutsche Telekom, Germany's main telecom provider, confirmed that a fiberglass cable buried 5 metres or more than 16 feet underground had been severed by a concrete drill during construction work, taking thousands of customers in the greater Frankfurt area offline. Lufthansa's Global Flight Operations Centre is based in the outskirts of Frankfurt Airport, and it is here that disruption to the cables had happened. There's no insight into whether Lufthansa's presumed backup for that connection also failed, as was the case with Aer Lingus in October last year. Aer Lingus execs claimed at the time that data was mirrored to separate sites by their IT services provider and that the lines had been replicated in both. Mind you, to be fair, I suppose, you can be as you can put as much resilience as you like in. I suppose at the end of the day, if that major cable that is your link to the outside world, it doesn't matter if you use a different service provider. If the line is down, the line is down, I guess.
Shows you how fragile these things are as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how much of an ongoing and knock-on effect these sorts of things can have, because obviously it's not just the flights that are departing from Frankfurt, it's the flights and the ticketing and presumably the flight plans and everything else coming from other international destinations into Frankfurt. So
imagine being that person who put your drill through the cable.
Oh no, I wouldn't want to be them. I think there'd be an awful lot of shouting and all sorts going on there. Really, probably, to be fair, the people doing the work probably didn't even know there was anything wrong. Because unlike electricity cables, for example, if you put a jack through that, for example, you get big loud bangs and sparks, and you're thrown 3.5 miles out of the hole. If you put a jackhammer through a glass cable, it's a sort of a non-event, is it? Apart from sort of masses of severs. Ironically, because it will have been a thick cable, there's no two ways about that, and the drill probably hadn't gone all the way through, but of course once you've got that fracture in place, you just aren't going to get the data through. You and I, if we have our internet go down, we just switch to our 4G connection. 4G, but let's be honest, if you've got a server's worth of data to ping around the world, no amount of 4G connections or 5G connections are necessarily going to give you enough throughput, I wouldn't have thought. They must have gigabits worth of data going backwards and forwards each second.
Tell you what, Nev, it's just as well you were US bound last week and not not Europe bound, with cables.
Yes, that could have messed things up because I was doing the Barcelona sectors at the end of January and start of February. So that could have caused some issues possibly if it was to do with that as well.
Quite, yeah.
Well, I got a stack of Ethernet cable if the guys over at Lufthansa need some. I can,
I'm sure that'll really help them, Carlos.
Cat 5, I think I've got some Cat 5.
Oh dear, not even Cat 6. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Anyway, Nev.
At least Cat 5e. Come on.
Oh, it's very stingy you are. Anyway, Nev.
Yes.
Stingy news from BA.
A nice segue there. It's on the lbc.co.uk website and also from Simple Flying. It says that the cabin crew searched for Scorpion on British Airways flight from Austin to London. Well, as reported by LBC, the BA flight from Austin International Airport to London Heathrow Airport was travelling with the anarchic stowaway to the shock of passengers after it emerged in the cabin. One passenger, Luke Taylor, 25, irrelevant, told LBC that he first realised something was wrong when several fellow passengers began standing up, but initially assumed they intended to use the lavatory. However, it soon became apparent that something was wrong, and word spread that a Scorpion was on the loose. Cabin crew conducted a mid-air hunt for the potentially dangerous Scorpion, but to no avail. According to Taylor, one of the cabin crew who had spotted the Scorpion remarked, "That's not like any Scorpion I've seen in Texas." Wow. The incident occurred around 45 minutes prior to the flight's scheduled arrival. Travellers sitting in the general area where the Scorpion was spotted were moved to the other empty seats around the aircraft for their safety. Fortunately, no passengers were injured during the scare and the flight touched down safely in London. British Airways said in a statement, "The safety of our customers is our highest priority and we're sorry for any concern caused by this highly unusual event." The two most prevalent species of scorpion found in Austin are the striped bark scorpion and the Texas cave scorpion, both of which are mildly venomous but not a mortal threat to humans.
I still wouldn't want to find one in my hand luggage.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
It doesn't actually. The story, as interesting it is, does not go into any detail about the outcome. Was the Scorpion found? Or it's obviously whizzing around the cabin somewhere. But it doesn't actually say what the final outcome was of this.
Wow.
No, I'm pleased to say that in my travels over the last 3.5 weeks, there was no Scorpion action.
No excitement. Excellent. That's what we like. That's what we like to hear. Oh dear.
Never been a big fan of Scorpions, to be fair.
Right. Okay. I'm not entirely sure many are.
It's one of those creepy crawlies that you see on telly and you think, yeah, I really don't want to be putting my foot in a boot and standing on one of those.
See, I'm old enough
Bill,
to be...
In the chat room says, was it an emotional support?
Oh, my God.
Oh, dear. I guess...
see a lot of emotional support animals in my US travels.
You did?
We may talk about that a bit later on. But
really?
Scorpions, yes.
Really? I'm genuinely quite shocked to hear
More on
that.
that later. I bet these weren't on the BA flight either.
No, quite. I must admit, I've never really got over the scorpions and stuff. If you're old like me, you'll probably remember. What was it? Well, they appeared twice, didn't they? You got them in Jason and the Argonauts. They appeared, didn't they? These horrible little scorpion things. And then, of course, Clash of the Titans was the big one, wasn't it?
CGI.
Oh dear, yeah. Hey, come on! In its day, the stop-go motion was all they could do, and it was stunning.
I know.
Nothing more terrifying, frankly, than no. Anyway, shall we move on?
Nearly as good as the CGI on the airplane films. Hey, Nev.
Oh yes, yeah.
Again, groundbreaking
anyway,
at the time.
Moving on. Next story, airlinerwatch.com, airlinerweekly.com, Reuters.com. Actually, you've not seen Airline yet, or Airport yet, have you?
No, I haven't. No.
Film, no. We need to sort that out. Anyway,
Maybe not tomorrow. We've got a lot to discuss tomorrow.
Aerospace industry is far from healthy recovery, the headline for this, although Boeing managed to increase its aircraft deliveries in 2022. A closer look reveals that many of these were planes from the company's existing inventory that had been produced several months or even years earlier. In other words, the industry's apparent rebound may be less comprehensive than it seems at first glance. Boeing's current aircraft production levels remain well below those seen at the industry's peak in the last decade. This is an indication that the aerospace sector is grappling with challenges and is facing a prolonged and arduous journey to return to pre-pandemic levels. Boeing reported a notable increase in aircraft deliveries last year, rising from 480 to 340. Rising to 480 from 340 in the previous year. This surge is largely attributed to sufficient uptake in 737 MAX deliveries. With 387 aircraft, Boeing delivered 263 73 MAX in 2021. And in August of 2022, the American plane maker also resumed deliveries of the 787 Dreamliners, which had been paused for almost 2 years due to issues with the quality of the fuselage. Last year, the company delivered 31 wide-bodies, a significant increase from the 14 units delivered back in 2021. While the reported figures indicate a positive trend, the civil aerospace industry in the US is in fact experiencing a slower recovery than it might be inferred from its delivery numbers. This is because Boeing's production rates are still trailing behind its deliveries, primarily due to the fact that the company is delivering a large number of MAX jets that were manufactured during the 20-month period when the type was grounded. Boeing did not publicly disclose the actual production figures, but industry analysts estimate the company's output in 2022 was approximately 23 737s and just a few 787s per month. This is a significant decrease, I should say, from several years ago when the manufacturer's factories were producing 53 737s and 14 787s each month. Airbus is also feeling the effects of supply chain issues, and deliveries fell by a third to 20 aircraft in January compared to 30 in the same month last year, the company said on Tuesday this week. Airbus has said it's close to weaning itself off Russian titanium, though some A350 supply risks remain. On the other hand, sources say steel capacity have moved up the list of concerns amid pressures including debt restructure at supplier Liberty Steel, which has no immediate comment, and cabins are once again on the watch list, with items as mundane as connecting rails for overhead passenger service units containing lights, fan and call buttons, which are also running in short supply. Airbus delivered 661 commercial aircraft in the fiscal year 2022, shy of the 720 that had been targeted. So what does this say? Does this say Boeing and Airbus need to employ more staff? Or
I think what we've got to remember is, of course, with all those production delays with the 737 MAX aircraft, they've got to catch up at some point, and obviously they're now doing that. But of course, that massively impacts the production line for other series of aircraft on the same line, I would assume. So they've got so much backlog that had they delivered all the products that they were supposed to during that period, they probably would not necessarily be in such a bad situation. But because they've got this backlog to deal with, that's quite a thing. And of course, we've got supply chain issues ongoing as well with electronics and that kind of stuff. So it's this is a way off yet, fixing all this, definitely. Well, thank goodness they're back in production, but it's a long road ahead, I think, isn't it?
What I think Boeing should do is move some of the production to, let's say, for instance, Norwich, and Norwich, I get a job there.
Oh, I see.
Oh, I see what you did there.
It's all about you again, isn't it?
It's always been about Carlos.
Oh, come on, Matt. You'd jump at the chance to get an IT job working at Boeing.
I don't know if I'd want the responsibility, to be honest with you. It's just to say, I mean, you imagine like Lufthansa, going back to the story earlier with the problems that that caused them. I mean, I don't know. It would be no different if Boeing had an issue of a similar nature. It's they get paid the big money for a good reason, don't they? Or
just get you and Nev to sort out all the IT stuff at Boeing. That would.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that sounds like fun. We could do that.
We'll put you both on, 100K a year.
Okay, I think we could probably manage that.
Yeah, there we go. We're sorted.
There we go. That's Nev's retirement
just
plans
solved
ruined. Excellent.
Boeing
Good.
supply chain issues.
Right. Okay. Lovely.
Here on the show.
Okay, we'll move on, shall we?
Matt, you've got the next story. You've got the next story.
Indeed. So it's thepointsguy.com is where this one is coming from, and the headline is United updates its policy on mistake fares gaming the system. Not sure what they mean by gaming the system, but anyway. So John's very kindly put a little context in here just to help. So first off, for those that don't know, a mistake fare, basically an airline mistake fare is when an airline accidentally prices a ticket significantly lower than its usual rate. This can happen for many reasons, like a technical glitch or human error. In some regions of the world, the airline is legally required to honour the advertised fare, even if it means selling the ticket at a loss. The catch is that mistake fares are usually corrected within a few hours, so you've got to be quick to snag one. But if you're lucky enough, you can find if you're lucky enough to find a mistake fare, you can save a ton of money on your flight. So on to the article. Mistake fares generate a lot of buzz, but good luck getting them honoured on United Airlines. The Chicago-based carrier updated its contract of carriage document on Friday the 17th of February with some significant changes for those who purchase mistake fares. Effective immediately, United reserves the right to cancel mistake fares, which the carrier now defines as tickets priced at a zero or close to zero fare. The airline also added a provision that it would reimburse any reasonable, actual or verifiable out-of-pocket expenses incurred by the purchaser in reliance upon the ticket purchase. In addition to the updates regarding mistake fares, the carrier also added some additional language around what it considers an improper reservation. In particular, consider yourself warned if you buy United flights that are or likely will be delayed, and then make a claim or receive a benefit from United. In those cases, your ticket is subject to cancellation, and United may also close your Mileage Plus account, take away your miles, void any future flight credits, ban you from flying with the airline, and assess you for any amounts owed in conjunction with these fraudulent practices. Presumably, this is aimed at travellers who purposely book last-minute delayed flights to collect compensation. Codifying a mistake fare policy into the contract of carriage doesn't actually change much from a passenger perspective. That's because US airlines must follow the Department of Transportation's policies, which actually include a similar provision around mistake fares. A revised policy in 2015 allows carriers to cancel and refund mistake fares after demonstrating that they are indeed mistaken. United's update around the mistake fares mirrors the Department of Transport's, though. This is the first time that the airline has codified the rule into its contract of carriage. Have you ever come across a mistake fare, Nev?
No. Well, it has, but not in my favour, obviously.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. No, fair.
It's always been in the wrong direction. And to be fair to BA, when I phone them up and they still, we've got completely the wrong fare there. We'll give you the correct fare. But no, it's interesting, isn't it, that I had no idea that this this clause existed, actually.
Right.
Where the I don't know whether it's airline specific or perhaps it's on all airlines, maybe. But,
and also, I think it's interesting they're saying that depending on which country it is, depends on whether they're obliged to honour that fare or not. And I think we have a similar policy here in the UK, don't we? Where if it's advertised at a certain price, and you've managed to buy it at that price, that they are obliged to honour it. I think, aren't they?
That's my impression, but I'm sure there is something in the terms and conditions somewhere which will have been poured over by very wealthy lawyers.
Yes, indeed. Who are very good at this sort of thing, yes.
To say, actually, on this occasion, we're going to, it's Clause 5, subsection 4B, specifically says that we are not liable to fly you at that price.
Not going to happen, basically, yeah.
All I keep thinking about now is steak fares. I'd love to go to a steak fair.
Right.
Well, I know that this sounds ridiculous, but having spent 10 days in the United States, fine country though it is, I never want to see another steak for at least a month and a half.
Nev, I never thought I'd ever hear you. Are you trying to tell me that you had too much steak?
I definitely was getting the meat sweats by one evening, I think, definitely.
Love that.
I mean, the highest quality meat you could ever wish for in Dallas. But,
just a lot of it.
Most nights was a bit much, really. So I did relent on one night, I think, and went for the chicken or the fish option. But,
it sounds like heaven. I can't wait to go out to the States now. I'm very excited.
Going to say hello to Neil and John, who joined us in the chat room.
Hello, Neil and John.
John is saying hello from Incheon, which is South Korea, I think.
It is.
Yeah. South Korea, yeah, South Korea.
Very good, very good.
So he's a few miles away from us here. But Nev, you've got the next story, and it's something that's just right up your alley here with these suites.
Well, yeah, on Qantas.com and simpleflying.com again. Qantas reveals A350s first and business suites for Project Sunrise. Now, if you remember, this is the new series of flights that's going to be going from directly from New York and London to Australia. And they've unveiled some prototypes of the two cabins that will be carrying premium paying passengers. A virtual reality fly-through of the first and business class cabins posted by Qantas on Twitter promises the 18 to 20 hours spent inside these A350 aircraft to be some of the most comfortable and luxurious the airline will offer. Qantas has gone the extra mile in the first suites by not going for a traditional seat that turns into a bed, but a separate reclining lounge chair placed next to an extra-wide 2-metre fixed bed. The 6 first suites, configured in a 1-1-1 setting, also feature personal wardrobe, dining table for 2, and a 32-inch ultra-high definition TV with Bluetooth connectivity. Naturally, all of this will be offered behind the privacy of a sliding door, and the suite also features 6 separate personal storage areas for items ranging from bathroom slippers to beverage bottles. The airline has also included all the other bells and whistles, including USB-A and USB-C, AC and wireless charging outlets, customizable LED lighting, and an adjustable bed backrest for breakfast in bed. Well, in the business suites, these will be behind the first suites, will be 52 of these, and these are in a 1-2-1 configuration, each offering full privacy behind sliding doors and maintaining direct aisle access for ease of moving around the cabin. Its other features include a 2-metre flatbed, generous storage, including a large mirror, cushioned leather ottoman, an 18-inch ultra-high definition touchscreen TV, a large dining table, and feature lighting. That's what I was trying to say. Like the first class offering, the business cabin also offers multiple personal device charging options, including wireless induction charging. The much awaited well-being zone for passengers was absent in the latest reveal, but Qantas will unveil it alongside the premium economy and economy cabins in the coming months. I'm not sure I'm ready for this yet, but I suppose that I must try and find a way of trying it one of these days. I know one of my industry colleagues does the direct flight from Perth to London, which is the best part of 18 hours, I think it is, something like that.
What is it that you're not ready for? Is it the length of the flight? Or
yes, I mean I like flying, obviously, but when I get to about 13 and a half hours, which is what it is from London to Singapore, or the other way around, I can't remember which way it is, I get extremely fidgety and agitated as well. So with someone saying to me, "Oh, Nev, it's only another 7 hours to go," the equivalent of a New York to London flight, you go, "Oh, no." But obviously they're going full out here to try to make the experience as best as they can, given the extraordinarily long flight times.
I mean, I guess if you were going to do an 18-hour flight, then perhaps this is the kind of... I mean, to be honest, even the business suite offering looks pretty incredible. Do you know what I mean? I think if you're going to do it, then 18 hours in that environment may be less challenging than perhaps cattle class.
You
for
see,
example.
I'm not. It is not meant to sound snobby at all. So I do apologise if I do come across this that way. But can you imagine doing this in economy?
I mean, people do it.
I mean, that's what is being offered, and premium economy as well. That is just going to be horrific, I would imagine. But I do defer to the airline if it turns out to be a marvellous experience. I won't be doing it in economy though. If we do it, that's for sure.
No,
I'll leave that to other air travellers.
I think you're right, Nev. When flights get to this kind of the time and distance, I think personally, economy, it just should be done on what it should be, a premium product than your business. Because you need leg room, you need a recline at least if you're in premium, in a premium economy.
Again, getting slightly off topic here. Forgive my naivety here, but I mean, realistically, in the current climate, and maybe that's I don't know. Do they sell their first class cabins out?
Well, I think they get reasonable load factors in them, certainly.
Can you see what I mean? I'm sort of thinking like you say, the first class cabin experience is incredible. I mean, we've all seen what it's like on Emirates, for example. It's out of this world. You can have a shower in air and all that kind of thing. But I can't help but wonder if they would make more money having more business class sort of pods up for grabs.
Yeah, of course. The thing is that so often, let's talk about just the transatlantic traffic, just between Europe and the United States. The only way airlines make money on those sectors is in the premium cabins. And I don't mean premium economy, I mean business and first.
Right.
That's where all the big revenue comes from, and the higher spending people that use it. So when you're talking about many crew changes as well on this. So if let's say it's a 20-hour flight with flight time limitations being, I don't know, I'm going to pluck a figure out the air, 8 hours for the flight deck crew maximum. That's 3 changes of crew, isn't it?
Gosh, yeah.
Let alone the cabin crew as well, who can work slightly longer hours possibly, but nonetheless, that's a heck of a thing. Now, some people do prefer to go straight there and straight back. Personally speaking, I prefer, if I was doing that flight again, I would prefer a stop off in Dubai or Singapore for a day, something like that, before I did the next sector. But each to their own. And clearly, Qantas have identified a market, and I know that the Prime Minister challenged airlines and aircraft manufacturers to come up with this solution, so you could go from Melbourne and Sydney to London directly. For
in one hit, yeah.
So yeah,
I see the point Lee Davis has made in the chat room, saying, I was saying about the premium economy sort of thing earlier. So us low earners are not allowed to fly long distances. I look, as sad as I am, look at flight prices just randomly every now and again, just to see what airlines are charging, because obviously Emirates are now doing a premium economy seating on some of their aircraft, not on all the routes, and a lot of airlines are adopting a premium economy package or a seat, to say. BA they call theirs, is it World
Traveller Plus?
That's it, yeah. And you'd be surprised. You'd be honestly surprised at how some airlines now price their premium economy seats to be very, very competitive when you compare them to an economy seat. Sometimes, if you look hard enough online, because it does take a little bit of delving into the websites such as Skytrax and that, but you can find a premium economy seat on an airline that may be £100 more than an economy seat, and with the level of service you get, difference between an economy and a premium economy seat, especially with BA, because I've flown economy and premium with BA, the level of service is different, the food's different, the cabin's different, the seat is different. Sometimes for the sake of £100, if you're flying 6, 7, 8 hour flight, it's
a
worth
big difference. Yeah, absolutely.
It's worth it for £100.
Although, to be fair, Neil Lamworm puts forward a very good argument. He says, give me enough gin and I'll pretty much sleep anywhere.
Well,
There is that.
Yes.
So this might be a good opportunity for me to sort of mention that actually I've now got a trip to the States to look forward to.
Yes, we heard a rumour.
Yes, indeed. So, well, long story short, basically, Armando is flying me out to Charlotte in October, and I am going to be in now. It is a BA flight number, but I think they do a code share on that, don't they? So
With American.
with American,
with American, yeah. So I've got but I am in premium economy.
Ooh.
So I'm quite excited about that. So I'm hoping to have a sort of like So bless Armando. He's basically flying me out there for a week to go and spend a lovely week with the family. Obviously, there'll be lots of filming and stuff that we'll do, I'm sure.
We'll look forward to an MPE.
Yeah, an MPE. Yeah, absolutely. Neil's saying back on the 757, Matt. Let's hope not. That's all I'm saying.
That'll be the 777, Matt.
Oh, will it? Ooh,
yeah.
Lovely. I won't be poorly when I arrive the other end. Then that's a win.
No, you'll be fine.
But so that's very, very exciting for me. Can't wait to go to can't wait to go to that. Yeah, October. It's going to be very, very exciting, and can't wait to sort of go and see, because that was the only trouble, because I have been to the States with you guys, which we did obviously to go to the Pittsburgh Air Show.
Yeah.
But of course it was I think we were in and out in less than 4 days, weren't we? That was the only sort of downside.
Yeah, I think it was 4 days we went.
Yeah, exactly. So
brilliant time, though. Fantastic.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely incredible. It really was.
Yeah.
But onboard Wi-Fi live stream, Neil is suggesting. I don't think so. I think that might be a technical step too far, even for me. But yeah. So very much looking forward to this. As I say, quite interested. It's literally, it seemed like the right time to mention it. Obviously, while we're having the conversation with sort of premium economy versus economy and stuff. I'm not quite sure. It is direct, this flight, which I was quite surprised
it is.
about. So how long is it roughly, the flight?
It's just on 7 hours. I think you're on the same flight I'm on in May.
Oh, nice.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. Lovely.
So, because you're flying like me. You're flying direct to Charlotte.
Indeed.
Yeah, very good.
Aaron
Exciting
P.
times.
Yeah, getting back to topic though. So Aaron P in the chat room, he was saying that try London to Hong Kong and return. That was achieved during COVID. That's a good point. That's a long old flight, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah.
But then quite often that used to be the halfway point for some of these airlines, Nev, wasn't it? For like going to Australia.
Yeah, a lot of them stopped off in Hong Kong or Singapore. And then it's about an 8-hour flight down to Melbourne and Sydney from there. But if you stop off in Dubai, obviously you've got a much longer flight. But some people prefer to spend longer in
sort of have a couple of days in.
At least,
yeah, absolutely. My mum did actually. She did the same thing. She did. She went out to Australia and had. We actually had friends who lived in Hong Kong at the time, and she had sort of 3 or 4 days in Hong Kong, and that was lovely because it gave her opportunity to sort of catch up with friends and all that kind of thing. But interesting. Interesting. Just going back to the topic, that was all. Aaron's also said the UK CAA have more than enough data to make it achievable, so it's very cool.
I was going to say, I tell you what, I wish we could go back a few years. I would have loved to have tried that approach into Kai Tak, wouldn't you, Nev?
Yes, that would be nice.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Neil saying again, sorry, all joking aside, knowing your aviation history, it's great to see you going for it. Hope you have a great flight. Yeah, absolutely. The reality is as much as I don't like flying, if you want to go and see people like, Armando and Micah and everybody else.
You go in the heart.
Yeah, you've got to do it, haven't you, at the end of the day? So, if it's going to be on 777, maybe I'll have a much more enjoyable experience. I mean, I have to say, I can't remember what aircraft it was that I went out to New York on. I think that was United.
That was probably a 767 then.
Yeah. But that was a much better experience. And coming home, I pretty much slept all the way home because we did the red eye back to London Heathrow. But I basically slept the whole way, so I ended up driving home because I was fine. Go
on your YouTube, Matt.
Yes.
And YouTube American 777-200 premium economy. There's some good videos on there from people who have travelled in the premium seat, and it's nice to see what you're going to get.
Indeed. Needless to say, I'm very excited. So, going to be good fun. Anyway, sorry, we're slightly off topic. Sorry about that.
Yeah, next story comes to us from ArabianBusiness.com and TravelWeekly.co.uk, and the headline, we have an interesting one, this one. Last year, Emirates recycled plastic and glass to the equivalent weight of an A380. Blimey, did they actually weigh every single piece? Anyway, keen to highlight its green credentials. Obviously, we always like to have a environmentally friendly story on the show. Emirates has announced that during 2022, the airline recycled more than 500,000 kilos, or 1.1 million pounds in weight, of plastic and glass, the weight almost equivalent to one of the carrier's flagship A380s. The milestone was achieved by collecting discarded bottles used on its flights, which are subsequently sent for repurposing. On board Emirates flights, the cabin crew separate glass and plastic bottles loaded back in Dubai and then sent to local recycling plants. Emirates' glass and plastic onboard recycling initiative was initially suggested by environmentally conscious cabin crew back in 2019. The suggestion arose as part of regular webinars and the events where staff are keen to be given a platform to share feedback and encouraged to share innovative ideas with key departments. For the last 6 years, the airline has offered sustainable blankets made from recycled plastic bottles to economy passengers on long-haul flights. Each blanket, described as soft and warm by the carrier, is made from 28 recycled plastic bottles. Wow, that's a hell of a blanket. Over the 6 years since the initiative was introduced, Emirates claims that producing these economy blankets has prevented more than 95 million plastic bottles from going to landfill. For Emirates' youngest travellers, the airline's complimentary toy bags, baby amenity kits and plush toys are also made from recycled plastic bottles and other sustainable materials. Belt bags, duffel bags and backpacks handed out to children travelling on board Emirates flights are constructed from yarn made from 100% recycled plastic bottles, and each Emirates kid backpack is made from 5 recycled plastic bottles. God, it must be a small bag. And each duffel bag is made from 7 such plastic bottles. The production of Emirates children's bags has saved 8 million plastic bottles from going into landfill. Well, they're certainly doing their bit for the environment, Emirates are. And all I can say is I wouldn't want to hold a match to that blanket.
I'm sure it's been treated. I think you'll be fine. Don't worry. Don't worry. It all will be well.
Well, I suppose you could kind of scrunch the blanket up and use it as a.
I have no doubt it'll feel no different to any other blanket. You know, it's it's a great thing. Really, love it. Absolutely love it. Oh, local recycling plant in Dubai. Does that mean throwing it into the desert? Yeah, probably. Just
I'll tell you,
just melt into the glass. Yeah.
I'll tell you a quick little story. Right, this is to go with this story. It's aviation themed, so don't panic. Many moons ago, after the few days after we got married, Matt, you remember that day?
Yes, I do. Just about.
And we had our honeymoon on the Maldives, in one of the islands in the Maldives Islands. And we flew into Mali to get the seaplane. And I don't know if it's still there now, but back in 2011, whenever it was, 2011, the approach into Mali, the airport there, flew over an island of rubbish.
What?
Yeah, true story. Literally an island full of rubbish, landfill rubbish and stuff. I don't know whether it's still there, but
crazy.
Not what you expect to see when you're flying to somewhere as beautiful as the Maldives.
Wow.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have put that down. Yeah, it's.
No.
But then I guess it has to go somewhere, isn't it? And they're quite. I mean, if you there's quite often jokes, isn't there, about like islands in on the outskirts of the US that have got like piles and piles of rubbish on them and all that kind of thing. They literally call it Trash Island, don't they? I guess it's that sort of thing. Indeed.
Are we buffering, or is that just you two being...
No warnings here, so I think we'll carry on, if that's okay with everyone. I'll soon shout if there's a problem.
Matt, you've got the next story, and I just love the headline.
Okay, yes, pilot thought co-pilot who died in cockpit was joking. That's a terrible headline. BBC.com/news is the source for this. It's Lancashire is where the stories come from. A flying instructor who held a Class 1 medical died in flight whilst flying with a qualified pilot. A qualified pilot who had planned to fly GBORL from Blackpool Airport to another airfield, but when he arrived at the flying club and checked the latest wind, he decided the crosswind was above his personal limit to fly on his own. Still wanting to go flying so that he remained within the flying club's regency requirements, the pilot asked an instructor if he would accompany him for a single circuit. The instructor agreed to fit in the circuit after he finished his trial lesson. Following the trial lesson, the instructor met with the pilot in GBORL, and the pilot taxied the aircraft out to the runway. The pilot recalled that during the taxi they were talking normally. He recalled telling the instructor he would keep the aircraft into wind for power checks, and the instructor replied, "Looking good, there is nothing behind you." The pilot didn't recall the instructor saying anything else after this point. The pilot recalled that shortly after takeoff from runway 28, the instructor's head rolled back. The pilot knew the instructor well and thought he was just pretending to take a nap whilst the pilot flew the circuit. So he didn't think anything was wrong at this stage. He proceeded to fly the aircraft around the circuit. As he turned onto the base leg, the instructor slumped over with his head resting on the pilot's shoulder. The pilot still thought the instructor was just joking with him and continued to fly the approach. He landed normally on runway 28 and started to taxi back to the apron. However, the instructor was still resting his head on his shoulder and was not responding to the pilot. And the pilot then realised something was wrong. He signalled to the airport fire crew, who happened to be working on the apron, who came to assist. The fire crew and the air ambulance medical crew, who were based at the airport, attempted to revive the instructor, but he remained unresponsive, and they were unable to save him. A review by the Civil Aviation Authority's medical department concluded the instructor had died from acute cardiac arrest. The authority said it continually reviewed health guidance, and the rarity of accidents caused by cardiac events in flight suggests the balance is currently about right.
Such a shame.
Yeah, I mean, a very sad story, obviously, but yeah, I mean, again, I suppose if there can be one, you know, he wasn't flying the plane on his own, for example, at the time of something like this happening. So, you know, just awful for the family, isn't it? You know, goes off to work, if you like, to go and do, no doubt, the job he absolutely loves, and that was it.
I think when you are flying or learning to fly, and you are focused heavily on what you're doing. When you're sitting there with an instructor, you know, you are focused on flying the aircraft, checking your instruments and stuff like that. You probably would take a kind of back seat as to, you know, what's he doing, you know? Yeah. Because you are.
But then, as he's saying, he knew the instructor well, so it sort of rather suggests that he got a bit of a reputation for having a bit of a muck around and all that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? It sort of doesn't sound like this was perhaps out of character for him to pull a prank like this. You know, and it's just like, ha ha ha, very funny. Yeah, and then it turns out it was for real. Wow, wow.
Well, it's a sad story, and as Matt said, you know, he obviously passed away doing something he probably very much loved and did.
Yeah, absolutely.
But from a sad story to a very happy story, Mr. Bounds, with the next one for you.
Yes, a very different angle on things, I must say, with this one. This is on the insider.com. It says that two flight attendants got married in front of a plane in a wedding full of nods to their love story. Well, Audrey and Alex Chaubey, both 27, went to Dallas, Texas for 3 weeks in 2018 to complete their in-flight training on their way to becoming flight attendants. There are over 300 people at training, but Audrey told insider Alex caught her eye by their third day in Dallas. We got very close in 3 weeks, Audrey said. The Chow Bay said that they think of their experience at training as similar to being on a dating show because they spent almost every moment together for weeks. After training, Alex and Audrey got stationed in different cities, but they knew they wanted to try to be together. Alex frequently visited Audrey, allowing their relationship to blossom. Fast forward a few months, and they were both stationed in Houston together, where they planned their wedding for September the 3rd, 2022, and they started looking for a venue in the Houston area, but nothing felt right as they wanted something distinct from other weddings that they had attended. The Chow Bays decided to focus on something they both loved, which is flying, of course. We're both obviously into aviation, Alex said, but both of our families are also in aviation. We both just grew up with airplanes around us. So I was like, how cool would it be if we found a way to pull this off? Well, Lone Star is home to a myriad of airplanes that still fly today. So it serves as a museum, learning centre and hangar. And the pair said that they immediately felt comfortable in the space and they knew that it would be perfect for their nuptials. However, the planes in the museum rotate, so that they couldn't know what their venue space would look like until days before their wedding. Because they tied their knot at the museum, the planes at Lone Star acted as much of the decor. Alex and Audrey built on the theme with aviation touches like plane-shaped place cards and a passport-inspired welcome sign. The couple got married with an airworthy DC-3 in the paint scheme of Continental Airlines as their backdrop, and the museum's DC-3 was produced in 1940 and fittingly flew 7 years for American Airlines. Oh, isn't that nice?
I'm just going to pop this last picture up again. I did pop them, but I mean, look at that. You know, I mean, somebody's beautifully buffed that aircraft, haven't they? It's got a real gorgeous shine on it. Well, I mean, what a cool place to get married.
Yeah.
What a really cool place. I dare say if Gemma would have allowed it, Carlos would have done something very similar. But
we had aviation themed table names, if you remember, Matt.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Yeah.
No.
No. You were too busy doing your job at the time.
That'll be it. Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah, it wasn't anything to do with the fact that I was absolutely hammered most of the afternoon.
Yeah.
But yeah, indeed. Yeah, lovely story, as you say, Nev. As I say, and I love the photos of that. They do just lend themselves some of these venues, don't they, to this, as I say, and it doesn't look like a like a cold hangar. Do you know what I mean? It's just got that really lovely vibe about it with some of the historical pictures on the wall still and stuff. I think that's
very
just great.
good.
Love it.
I like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hello to Stuart Aslett joining us in the chat room. Good to see you in there, Stuart, this evening.
Indeed, it's all his fault.
I know. So we've got some military news coming up in just a bit, but we're gonna have a bit of a kind of sit down and chat and have an NPE.
We have a
session
lot to catch up with Nev,
because
don't we?
Obviously, as most of you know who regularly tune into the show, we've been missing a Nev for the last 3 weeks, haven't we, Nev? We've not been missing you, but you've been doing a hell of a lot of flying in and around the States, especially. But Nev, I mean, obviously you've. It's been for work purposes. We must make that a point of saying that. It's not been a jolly. You have had to do some work, although you have had a few glasses of Pinot, I think, whilst you've been out there. But back to aviation, Nev. Obviously, what was the first?
Well, it all started off really for our trade show that we do, the big one in Barcelona. So that was a flight from Heathrow to Barcelona, A320 with British Airways. Very nice. Lots of my industry chums on that aircraft. And I think I was sitting in 1 Alpha, unusually.
What?
And
how very out
as
of character.
people boarded the aircraft, I said hello to most people because I did know them, people I've worked with or people that I knew from the industry. And the fellow that was sitting next to me in 1 Charlie was not from our industry. And he said to me, mate, he said, I don't want to be rude. He said, but do you know everybody on this aircraft? I went, nearly, yes.
Yeah,
I do.
almost. Yeah, absolutely.
So that was nice. So we had a week's worth of work in Barcelona, very full on, very hectic, but very enjoyable. Great city, by the way, great city for walking. And the food is not expensive at all. That was, that was the nice thing about it. It was all very reasonable. And of course, the weather was fairly sensible too, sort of 14, 15 degrees. This show has recently moved from Amsterdam. Nothing wrong with Amsterdam, but it's normally 2 degrees at the same time of year, so that was a bit nicer. And then we had a week off. I'm putting that in inverted commas because I didn't have a week off. I was ended up flying to Stockholm for 2 days, so that was nice. But then came the Saturday, the 11th, I think it was, of February, and it's my first trip ever on an A380, which was magnificent. What an aircraft that is. And it is so quiet. I mean, you would not believe it. I was upstairs in 53 Alpha, so that's one of the window seats upstairs. And honestly, you could not hear, I'm not joking, you could not hear the engines being started.
Really?
That's how quiet it was. And even when we're trundling down the runway, as Matt hopefully is going to play a bit of video from this now, apart from the rather long takeoff roll, because I think they must have been using a reduced takeoff thrust, but it is just not loud at all.
You had a good view from there, Nev.
Yes, it wasn't bad, was it? Not bad at all.
Love
But quite a full flight, I would say. This was over to Dallas, so this is about a 10-hour flight directly to Dallas Fort Worth on the BA A380, which was, of course, all of these aircraft were stored in Madrid for a long time during the pandemic. So there's still a few things that don't quite work properly in the seats. So the two of my colleagues that I was travelling with actually got moved from their seats. They were in row 10 on the lower deck. Because there was some faulty electrics with the seats, I think. So they ended up coming upstairs with me. I allowed them to come upstairs.
Oh, that's very good of you, Nev. Thank you.
That's so kind of you. So you were in BA's World Travel?
No, I was in the Club Europe.
Oh, Club Europe. Club Europe.
In case anybody from the firm is listening, from my firm, I did pay for that myself. So because our company doesn't allow any of that kind of travel. I think the policy is if you're travelling over 8 hours, you're allowed premium economy, but you're not allowed to book a business class flight basically unless you pay for it yourself.
So your A380 experience, your first experience of 380 was positive one.
Oh, marvellous! Now, of course, these had the old Club Europe seats in, so they're a little bit, well, they were comfortable enough, but they've not had the opportunity of the Club Suites upgrade that the newer aircraft have had. But of course, as I say, these were stored in Madrid for some time during the pandemic because obviously BA weren't using them at all. But they've brought them all back into service now, and it's a great aircraft. I know we keep saying it was ahead of its time and it's no longer being produced, which it isn't, etc. But I think my colleagues in premium economy and a couple I spoke to in economy, they were saying the experience was just as good in terms of how the aircraft is. So if long haul is your thing, an A380 is not a bad place to be. And again, the Middle East carriers, I would imagine, the Emirates and co must also be great, I would imagine. So that was great. That was cool.
So other aircraft, Nev, you got to fly on a very large Dreamliner.
I did. That was on the way back though, but of course I had to go from Dallas to Portland first of all, and it's only about that far on the map, but it's 3 hours and 45 minutes flying time.
Oh wow!
With a 2-hour time difference as well, so we're going back in time another 2 hours. So it's now 8 hours behind the UK, and this is an American Airlines A321, and I was a bit unsure whether to play this next clip or not. I hope YouTube doesn't block it or I don't get into trouble with the airline. But I'm always keen on listening to people's safety demos. How much detail they go into, and I thought I'm just going to record this and see what we think. So Matt's just going to play this one out for us now, so we can listen to it. Now, obviously, I am joking slightly.
I was going to say, is there a fault on that file there?
But not much. Considering briefing the passengers is a safety critical item, I would have thought that it would be a great idea for the cabin crew to do it at a reasonable speed, maybe slow it down a bit, bearing in mind that many people on that flight were not speaking English as their first language. Now, that's not the crew's problem, I get that, but honestly, it was so rushed. And I don't know, if you're a regular flyer, you probably do know what to do in an emergency, but really... But
you can't make assumptions like that, can you?
They've got to do a better job than that, and I did actually send, when they sent me the form to say, did you enjoy your American Airlines flight? Any suggestions that you've got for us that could improve? Yes. Do the safety briefing properly. Also, the flight was 90 minutes late. These things happen. Not an acknowledgement of that from the captain at all. Just like getting the bus. So, yeah, bit of a shame. Comfortable enough, certainly. I was in their first class section, which is sort of our business class section, really. And it was okay. Yeah, safety briefing. Could we have one? And could we do it properly?
Gosh.
That would be what I would say. So that was that.
Yeah.
Now, you may be aware that I'm a fan of the Blue Oval vehicles, the Ford types. I don't know if Matt's got a picture of the Ford Expedition that we rented whilst we were out there. That is a heck of a car, actually. And it's... I looked it up. It was 440 brake horsepower.
Wow.
With a 3.5 litre V6 engine in it. Our one looked a bit like a hearse, actually, but it certainly didn't drive like one. It went like the clappers. And here it is. Now, if they did one in orange or yellow, I would have that on my drive.
Oh, would you? Oh,
Mrs.
is that nice?
Nev would not have it on the drive, but I certainly would.
So is that like a sort of like an SUV on steroids type sort of thing? Yeah, yeah.
It's a 10-speed automatic.
Oof.
And there were 6 of us in there at one point with full luggage. And it went like stink. You would not believe how fast this was. Obviously, it's got an average MPG thing on it.
Right. Okay.
We couldn't get it beyond 19.
Gosh, I'm impressed with 19, Nev. I'm not going to lie.
But with gas or their fuel only, well, there it was just under $3 a gallon.
Yeah,
you can afford to do it, can't you? Really?
You can, absolutely. I mean, would I want to be running such a thing around London or something like that? Probably not. But
Aaron P says try parking that at Tesco's.
Good point, well made.
Although actually, my colleague Stephen, who was driving, it's got a seriously low ratio steering rack, so it was really, really easy to park from that point of view. Although you couldn't see all four corners
no,
all the time. Anyway,
lots of sensors though, I'm sure. So lots
plenty
of
beeping.
Yes, absolutely, the best kind.
So that was in Portland, Oregon. That's up on the northwest Pacific coast, where our HQ is. Very interesting going around our factory once again. That was fascinating as always in our distribution centre. And then we flew back on a British Airways Boeing 787-10, which I think was a last-minute aircraft swap, actually. I think it was a -9 we're supposed to be going back on. There was only about 120 people on the flight. I was counting them in the gate area when we went back, so it's obviously a very long aircraft. But this is equipped with the new club suites. So, Matt, if you can bring up the picture with the seat in it itself, that's it looks quite a comfy place to be. I mean, and it is. It's got a nice inertia reel seat belt, like you're in a real car. What you can just see in the bottom left-hand corner there was the screen you can pull across into the gangway. And then you've got quite a decent sized screen there as well. So that was really nice. I didn't actually use that much of it really. because I was just listening to podcasts and that kind of thing. Got a couple of other pictures here which show you the seat area and the screen. So you can see there's plenty of storage space and that kind of thing. But no matter what position I put these flatbed things in, I could not get properly comfortable at all. It was quite arduous. It was a very quick flight actually coming back. It was less than 8 hours. It was less than 9 hours. It was about 8 hours 45 minutes coming back from Portland to Heathrow, which was pretty good going. Very smooth as well, I've got to say, for a nice change across the North Atlantic, because it can be a bit bumpy. But no, it was a very, very smooth flight indeed, and no complaints about that. But yeah, for me, I just couldn't quite get the seat good enough for my back. Landed at Heathrow, no problem at all. But as usual, we waited for 15 minutes, or was it 20 minutes, for the stand guidance to be turned on. Seems to be the normal thing there. And of course, a lot of my colleagues have got connecting flights back to Edinburgh, Brussels, Amsterdam that I can think of, and they missed those connecting flights most of them because of that delay. And we were an hour late leaving anyway, so it just added to that. But everybody got home. But
one thing I'd like to say
is a favourite aircraft of mine. I do like it a lot. And again, I know I keep going on about it, but this reduced cabin altitude, because they're using composite materials, so that the pressure differential is a lot greater, so you have a much more the air is not so dry in the cabin, and you've got much more moisture in there. So I think that the cabin altitude's about 5,500 feet, something like that. That does actually make quite a difference when you get off the other end in terms of how well you might feel. Having said that, it's been a real struggle this week for all of us, all my colleagues. We've been waking up at ridiculous times, 2 o'clock in the morning for 2 hours, then going back to sleep and into a very deep sleep. I think probably because we've had we've been so busy, and none of us are as young as we used to be, so it is starting to affect us a little bit. But yeah, it's taken. I mean, we arrived back Monday just after lunch, UK time. I managed to stay up until about 9 o'clock, so I thought, that's okay. And normally by the next day I'm okay, or certainly the day after. But actually it got worse as the week has gone on for some reason. But I think that's, again, taking a second flight up to Portland from Dallas, which is another 2 hours out of whack with time distances. One thing that it does remind me of, though, is, or worth thinking about at least, I don't know how these crews do it, at whatever age they are, whether you're operating the flight in the flight deck or cabin crew. It's really hard work. And if you're doing this all the time, it must be quite debilitating, especially when the circadian rhythm is mucked up and you can't get a decent night's sleep. For the average passenger like us, it doesn't really matter, because we just sleep it off, or we muddle through. But if you then got to operate another flight in a couple of days' time, or you're on minimum rest, that kind of thing. These long haul sectors, I mean, that wasn't that long haul by real international standards, especially in the Asia routes, but it's really tiring, and it does take it out on the crew. And so often when I'm speaking to the crews these days, they're saying, we're on minimum rest all the time. We very rarely get 2 days down route like we used to back in the day. We're on 24 hours off, and then we're back on the next flight. So
I know.
I always have a lot of sympathy and understanding for all the people that are operating these flights, because it's a bit of a slog, that's for sure.
It is. It's and it's one of those things that sort of, I suppose, catches up with you over time as well, doesn't it? It's you never really get over. You never really. I mean, quite often. One a really good friend of mine is cabin crew, and they're always, battling jet lag every time even when they're off. That's the problem, isn't it? Because they're just so used to being in different time zones and all that kind of thing. And I guess, they say you should sort of operate as best you can in the time zone that you're normally in. But of course, that doesn't in reality work, does it? Because you might arrive in the middle of the day, and you can't necessarily go to bed because their crew rests are so short. Sometimes there isn't enough time to have a full night's sleep before you're then on your way home again. it's sort of minimum rest and
I remember
stuff.
talking to Captain Nick, before he retired, in the last sort of year.
Yeah.
And you've got to think about that as well, where, he's operating, he's done an overnight flight from, I don't know, San Francisco or JFK, something like that. He's back in the car and he's got a 1 hour drive home or something like that, at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean, that's quite difficult to do, I would think, as well. And John Jester in the chat room's just saying Wednesday he went to AMS Amsterdam to LAX, and then Thursday into Friday he went to LAX into Incheon, which is that is a one heck of a slog. So, but yeah, it's hard work. I say, even being as a passenger as I am, I'm finding this week quite difficult, I must say.
Yeah.
I'm sure tomorrow will be much better because we're going to get together tomorrow for a production meeting in the PT UK restaurant, aren't we?
We are is that what it's now known as, the PT UK restaurant? Oh, very good.
Totally.
Before we move away from your trip, Nev, I've got two things that are a highlight of this last picture. The first of all, the one showing that you had an altitude of 7 meters. I rather enjoyed that, I've got to be honest. And also, very, very sad news. It has the words there, Wi-Fi unavailable. That's very sad.
That's because we were on the ground at the time, I suppose.
Oh, right, okay.
Yes, the Wi-Fi doesn't get switched on till about 10,000 feet.
All right, fair enough, okay.
And Nev, you've got some
take
questions in the show notes, haven't you, to go to quick questions to run through in there?
Yes, I have. Let's have a look. Yes, a few people have been asking some questions. What tier level am I at now? Well, I'm still at the gold level, and then there's another level sort of above that when you get to 2,500 tier points. I'm just going to probably hit that, I would imagine, before April the 8th, which is when the cut-off point is for me. And that gives you a gold, or sort of a potentially of an upgrade once you get to a certain level in business class, I think, as well. The product differences, what were the product differences on BA between the A380 and the 787-10? The main thing is that the 787-10 is all equipped with these new club suites, which are, I say, very nice. But for me, I just couldn't get comfortable, and I actually preferred the old one from that point of view. Having said that, there's a lot of people that are saying that the club suites are really nice, and they certainly are. I just didn't have enough time to fiddle around with the seat and all the paraphernalia to get into a comfortable position for myself. So. What was the general feel of the aircraft? For example, cabin air and sound. Well, both aircraft really, really quiet. No two ways about it at all. The only thing I would say about the 787 coming back was I was at the front of the business class section, just behind the first class bit, and it was a bit stuffy. There didn't seem to be a very nice amount of airflow going on, because normally you go on these flights and it's quite cold during the night, isn't it? But it was quite warm and a bit stuffy, so not ideal, I have to say. What were the food offerings on the aircraft? Well, both were very good, I've got to say. They do feed you a lot of food, though. And again, when you're coming back from the US and they wake you up for breakfast, and you've already had a meal on the aircraft quite late, really, so probably 10 o'clock at night local time. Then you've got an 8-hour time difference coming into London, and they serve you quite a big breakfast. I didn't go for that. I just had a cup of coffee, actually, because I was completely stuffed. But no, very high quality, no complaints at all from that. Lee Davis says, have we got rid of the 747 too soon? Well, yes, actually. I mean, I still think that is a completely valid aircraft. Obviously, the change from 4 engines to 2, it's all about the economy of the whole thing and the fuel cost and all the rest of it. But you're not going to get an A380 with 2 engines operating, I don't think, into the air. So I think that the 747 had the fuel costs not been prohibitive and had the reliability and the smoothness of the 2-engine aircraft, like the A350 and the 787s, etc., not been as good, then I think, yes, we could have got some more mileage out of the 747s, I would have thought. And Neil Lamborn asks, given that it's not going to be produced anymore, what do I think that the legacy of the A380 is going to be? Well, before I got on one, I thought it was a bit of a waste of time. I didn't really see the point of it. But having now flown it on a long haul route, a 10-hour route to Dallas, I would say that I did get there feeling reasonably refreshed and not as fatigued as I would normally be, because it is so quiet. The thing with sound or noise generally is that you don't really fully realise how much fatigue that brings. And actually, in my job, we do a lot of research on things like sound masking solutions and noise cancelling solutions and stuff like that. So we know a lot about sound and noise generally, and there's no doubt about it. If there's a lot of noise for a long period of time, it is very debilitating, and you don't know it until you've got to the end of the flight, when it's like someone's turned a switch off. You go, oh, that's a lot better. But
I always get a bit spaced out in that scenario. Do you know what I mean? You get that sort of like slightly weird, sort of almost frustrated, sort of like, oh, come on.
Yeah, exactly. One thing which was new to me, though, I didn't realise that going to America, they no longer stamp your passport.
What?
How about that?
Rubbish.
So they just take a photo of you, a couple of fingerprints, and straight through. On our flight, however, was a well-known heavyweight boxer called Anthony Joshua.
I've heard of him.
Ooh.
Yes, yeah.
Very tall fella.
You didn't upset him, did you?
You would not want to pick an argument.
No,
with him.
I bet.
Think he was in first class.
Yeah.
But a lot of people were getting selfies with him, actually in the immigration area before he went to the front desk. I can't imagine that happening at Heathrow somehow.
Really?
A lot of finger wagging and no, you're not allowed to do that. But my American colleagues over there were very, very relaxed about the whole thing. So that was nice. Nice for the kids and the people that had a photo taken with them as well. So that was pretty nice. But yeah, no more stamping unless you ask for it to be stamped, actually. Neil's just Mike has just mentioned that in the chat room.
Right.
But all I wanted to do after a 10.5-hour flight was get your bags and
get the heck out of there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you had a good time anyway, Nev.
It was. I'm not ready for another one just yet, but I've got some more flying coming up in the next few weeks, off to Edinburgh and Stockholm, and Mr. and Mrs. Nev and I are going to Jersey for a long
lovely
weekend at the end of March as well. So
you'll enjoy that.
It's probably not a. It was a great trip, but very tiring one, because although there's lots of socialising and all the rest of it, you're kind of on duty the whole time. Really, you've got customers, and the time for relaxing was limited, I have to say. But having said that, it was very enjoyable. But I'm a little tired now.
I can imagine.
Well, it's good to have you back anyway, Nev.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Well, thanks for that, Nev. It's good to hear about your trip. And it's good, very good to hear indeed. Obviously, we'll have an MPE in October this year from Matt, all about his trip. And there'll be a CPE in May when I get back from the US. So
lovely. Good.
Passenger experiences everywhere. Anyway, we've got some military news next. So we've got some stories. So if Matt, Nev, are you ready?
No,
Yes.
It's the military. Of course I'm not ready. Where's Armando?
Okay, he's not ready. Don't worry about that.
He's 13550, Angel 16, heading 340. Okay. 100 seat boogie.
So this first story in the military this week comes to us from thedrive.com, and it's a helicopter that I've been watching actually this afternoon when I was watching an episode of SEAL Team on Paramount Plus.
As you do.
It's the UH-60 Black Hawk unexpectedly appears in Ukraine military service. So the Ukraine Armed Forces have received what appears to be their first example of the ambiguous S-70 or H-60 Black Hawk series helicopter. It looks now to be in service with the aviation branch of the Ukraine's Defense Intelligence Directorate, which has led a number of daring missions in the course of the ongoing war with Russia, including cross-border helicopter raids, and the Black Hawk design is more modern than previous helicopters donated to Ukraine and could pave the way for future deliveries. The story posted on its website this week by the main Directorate of Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine includes 2 photos of a Black Hawk series helicopter in a hangar in the Ukraine. One photo shows a 2-person armed helicopter crew posing in front of the aircraft, and another head-on view of the Black Hawk shows it alongside a Ukraine Mi-24 Hind helicopter with another 2-person crew, as well as a 4-person team of apparent special operations troops. While not explicit on this point, the wording suggests that the Black Hawk and the Mi-24 are new additions to the Directorate's regular fleet. In the past, it's understood to have used Ukrainian Army aviation helicopters, primarily Soviet and Russian-made Mi-8 and Mi-17 HIPs, on an ad hoc basis, having organic aviation assets a clearly major advantage for them, and not only in terms of availability of aircraft for its demanding missions, but also the likelihood of a US transfer of F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine is gradually increasing as well. This is from the weeklyblitz.net. And such an opinion for Sunday, the 19th of February this month, on air on the TV channel CNN, who expressed the head of Foreign Affairs Committee of the House of Representatives of the US Congress, Michael McCall, when asked by the presenter about whether to expect the administration of US President Joe Biden to decide on the supply of fighter jets to Kiev. McCall said, "The longer the delay, the longer this conflict will drag on," he said. On the 17th of February, the White House said the United States would welcome the decision of the Allies to transfer their fighter jets to Ukraine. At the same time, the representatives of the National Security Council, John Kirby, noted that the US administration itself never tells its partners what specific weapons and when should they be transferred to the Ukraine. On the 7th of February, US leader Joe Biden said he did not want to send F-16 fighters to the Ukraine because combat aircraft should be left in the US. And at the time, on the February the 2nd, the New York Times wrote that the United States and the European Union could transfer F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine through the Netherlands and Denmark. Now, I mean, obviously we're not all military buffs here, the 3 of us, as we all know, but I did hear online and on the news and on a program that was on Sky News not many days ago that we haven't got the aircraft to send to the Ukraine. We just, in the UK,
we don't have it. Yeah.
We just haven't got the aircraft to send these guys.
I know we've been doing a lot of training, haven't we? So they've been here learning how to fly various aircraft, because that is something that we do well. Training in general, I think.
Yes.
To be fair, and I know they've been here doing that. And I mean, I think our Prime Minister Rishi Sunak was sort of photographed, sort of visiting one of these training camps and things with that very much in mind. You know, because obviously we want to sort of help, I guess,
as much as we can.
Bring this to a swift conclusion, but it's I mean, we haven't got enough aircraft for our aircraft carrier at the end of the day, have we? So it's an ongoing story, isn't it? Really.
We've not got. I think to be honest, we've got more refueling aircraft here based at RAF Mildenhall than we have got jets to actually refuel.
Well, there we are.
Having had the opportunity to go to Mildenhall, a few years back with Armando and seeing the lineup of KC-135 tankers lined up there, it just They're just, they never seem. You never sort of around here, especially where me and Matt live here in the east of England. We are quite used to low-flying fighter jets flying around here, but they normally only fly around in pairs, Matt. You never see them in sort of groups of 10 or 20.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
Anyway, Matt, you've got the next one?
I have indeed, yes, absolutely. And the headline on this one is "Sharper Rules coming to tackle airspace incursions, Biden says. So we're sticking with quotes from Biden this week. TheDrive.com is the source on this one. President Joe Biden says his administration is seeking new policies and procedures for how to handle unidentified objects intruding in US airspace in the future. These remarks come after the US Air Force F-22 Raptor and F-16C Viper jets shot down 3 still unidentified objects in the US and Canadian airspace between the 10th of February and the 12th of February. That followed the shoot down of what US officials said was a Chinese government spy balloon in US airspace off the coast of South Carolina on the 4th of February. Earlier reports had indicated that Biden's speech today, after which he remained in the briefing room for a few moments but ultimately answered no questions, came in response to growing criticism over the administration transparency or lack thereof about these incidents. The president had said previously that he did not believe the initial Chinese spy balloon incident represented a major security breach. We don't yet know exactly what these 3 other objects were, but nothing right now suggests that they were related to China's spy balloon program or that they were surveillance vehicles from any other country. Biden said the intelligence community's current assessment is that these 3 objects were most likely balloons tied to private companies, recreation or research institutions studying weather or conducting other scientific research. Earlier this week, US officials had already indicated that the US intelligence community, the USIC, was actively considering the possibility that the trio of objects that were shot down but that remain unidentified were benign. Biden's comments today also come amid the emergence of evidence that the object downed over Canada's Yukon territory on the 11th of February specifically may have been a so-called Pico balloon. Not sure what one of those is. These are small balloons that are often launched by amateur radio enthusiasts. Oh, there you go. See the answer, the clues are there. Biden elaborated on additional policies and other actions that will be taken based on the work of new interagency working groups led by National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. The planned creation of this team was announced earlier this week. First, we will establish a better inventory of unmanned airborne objects in space above the United States airspace and make sure that inventory is accessible and up to date, the president explained. Second, we'll implement further measures to improve our capacity to detect unmanned objects in our airspace. Third, we'll update the rules and regulations and for launching and maintaining unmanned objects in the skies above the United States of America, he continued. And fourth, my Secretary of State Antony Blinken will lead an effort to help establish common goal norms in this largely unregulated space. There we go. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Really, I think. I normally I'm a bit like bored now type sort of thing, but actually this whole story with this, I'd be fascinated to find out what evidence they bring to the table, if you like, to say that these are actually, like this first balloon, obviously, that seems to have caused the most concern, with it belonging to, sort of China, basically. I'd be interested to sort of hear all about that. I mean, are we going to hear all about it, though?
Sudden, it's gone quiet, wouldn't you say, though? We haven't heard anything now for a...
Well, I think again, there's a strong argument that some of the other ones that were taken out of the sky, which is perhaps what's prompted this, turned out to be benign units that did have permission, if you like, to be in US airspace, but there was no national register of people carrying out work, I guess, using these balloons. So,
oh yes, I did see that, Dirk S in the chat room. I did see that on social media this week, a picture of a Goodyear blimp, obviously the big Goodyear blimp they have in the US, and they have on the Goodyear blimp they have those like what they call them, a dot matrix kind of banner,
yeah,
where the wording goes across. and it was saying, "Don't shoot."
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Very good.
Indeed.
Nev.
I don't know, are we going to find out though? Are we going to? Do you think we'll get a report, Nev, on this? I mean, a real one.
There's a whole. I'm in two minds about this. I think on the one hand, there's a lot of security issues and a lot
definitely.
of things that we're not being told. I would imagine quite deliberately. But at the end of the day, an incursion into
Any
commercial
airspace,
or military airspace is a thing, isn't it? That is a problem. And these things are up at 40,000 feet sometimes, right in where the
Planes could be, for
Dreamliners
example.
are, and the A350s and all the rest of it. So, you don't have a big moment planting one of those, do you?
True.
That's for sure.
Indeed. Let's hope. I hope we do get some transparency, because I think it'd be fantastic to sort of, get clarification on it, if you like. I mean, there is a chance, of course, this first balloon that was shot down was there with permission, but perhaps the data wasn't available to authorise it, if you see what I mean. But who knows? Will we ever find out? I guess is the $64 million question, isn't it?
Yep.
That's true.
Indeed.
And on to the next story, Nev, to another aircraft on my list of aircraft I'd love to have a go in.
Yes, I think this story has to hold the record for the most number of acronyms in it.
Good luck, Nev. Brace yourself.
We'll see how we get on. There's a
okay.
lot. There's a lot to unpick with this story, that's for sure. It's on the businesswire.com. It says that US Navy is to acquire more King Airs. Textron Aviation announced that it's been awarded the multi-engine training system contract by Naval Air Command, so that's NAVAIR, and METS, respectively, through a full and open competition. The contract award is for up to 64 King Air 260 aircraft, which will be known as the T-54A. The initial Lot 1 award will procure 10 new Beechcraft King Air 260 commercial aircraft and associated support. Lots 2 and 3, if the options are exercised, would each procure up to 27 aircraft. Aircraft deliveries are planned from 2024 to 2026. The Beechcraft King Air 260 is acquired under the METS contract and will replace the Chief of Naval Air Training, which is CNATRA, fleet of T-44C Pegasus aircraft. The T-44C is a variant of the twin-engine and pressurised Beechcraft King Air 90. The T-44 has been in service since 1977. METS will modernise multi-engine aircraft training at CNATRA, providing an intermediate and advanced training platform for US Navy, US Marine Corps and US Coast Guard aviators into the P-8, EP-3, KC-130, E6, E2, CMV-22, CV-22 and MV-22 aircraft. MET's specific capabilities includes factory options for TACAN, which is air-to-air and angle of attack, AOA, VHF and UHF radios, digital audio system, engine trend monitoring, condition-based maintenance plus observer jump seats, passenger mission seats and full-face oxygen masks. With its advanced technology, the new METS platform will be more representative of fleet aircraft, said Captain Holly Shoga, Naval Undergraduate Flight Training Systems Programme Office, PMA-273 Programme Manager. The T-54A will include an updated avionics suite, automation qualities and virtual reality and augmented reality devices to better prepare students for the advanced aircraft they will fly in the fleet. The King Air 260 METS aircraft will be delivered in a fully compliant METS mission-ready configuration from Textron Aviation's King Air production line in Wichita, Kansas. Wichita, Kansas. I've got Texas on the mind from my trip. Wichita, Kansas, of course it is. So there we go. So the first job they've got to do is learn all those acronyms, I would imagine. So, yeah.
I was really lucky a few years back, before COVID, at the Malta Air Show, when it was actually an air show. Got to have a chat with the guys who fly the Royal Air Force. They've got some King Airs, the 260s in the Royal Air Force they use, and got to have a little look on board and that. And they are really quite smart. It's old school aircraft, because King Airs were, I forget what year King Airs were. I think it was 1960s. 1970s. Yeah, the King Airs, the Super King Airs. But they are really, really good aircraft. And a certain pilot Pip, who we all know, also I think had a hand in flying a King Air as well in his aviation career. But yeah, good story. Next story, and I hope Matt's got the picture for this, because I saw this earlier on in the week pop up in the news feeds. And I'm just gutted they weren't delivering it to my house. But anyway, it comes to us from the EAA.org. And B-17 begins truck trip. Yes, it's not flying, it's going by truck. After several weeks of disassembly, EAA and volunteer crews in Punta Gorda, Florida, have loaded the trucks to ship the B-17, which is aptly named Aluminium Overcast, back to Oshkosh to complete repairs and get the Flying Fortress back into flight status. Disassembled aircraft was loaded onto several trucks, with some sections heading north on the Monday and the rest to follow the rest of this week, weather permitting, obviously, with the airframe that could be back in Oshkosh by late next week. After arriving at the Weeks hangar, the repairs assembly team will continue tasks that will likely take most of the coming year. The hope is to have the B-17 ready for flight testing in 2024. The AA teams are dedicated volunteers in Florida Air Recovery and Punta Gorda have devoted thousands of hours to the project over the past 2 years and are gratified for their devotion and their efforts, said Jeff Tolloin, the EAA's Director of Aircraft Operations and Maintenance. At this point, he said it was deemed the best way to complete the task, which was to bring the airplane back to Oshkosh so all the necessary resources could be immediately available. Aluminium Overcast has been in Punta Gorda since March 2021, when the routine pre-flight inspection revealed a crack emanating from the left shear web, which is a secondary support structure for the wing. The only way to repair that was by removing the entire wing. The repair itself, it's not only overly complicated, but just getting it back to us is. The wing was removed by EAA teams who noted other things that would be best served by repairing at the same time, and the proper parts for the vintage World War II bomber are currently being specially manufactured for the repairs. Fantastic pictures on there, Matt. The aircraft also dodged 2 weather calamities in Florida. Hurricane Ian hit Punta Gorda Airport this past September, but it only caused minor damage to the B-17 when in a hangar when it was actually parked, where it was heavily damaged. A short time later, tornadoes ripped through the area, but fortunately missed the aircraft at the airport. Now, it's always good, isn't it, guys, to see the B-17s flying. You know, we're lucky we've got,
I love the one at Duxford.
Sally B,
yeah.
or depending which side you look at R1, Sally B, or it's the Memphis Belle, depending on which side you look at the aircraft. Here in the UK, and obviously the US have got a handful of B-17s, I think, still flying. But such, honestly, an awesome aircraft to see, not only in the air, but also when me and Sturman, who's normally in our chat room of the show, when me and Sturman went to Duxford last year, when they were doing the deep maintenance on the Sally B, and they literally had every engine stripped down, including the undercarriage, the flap system, everything was stripped off the aircraft. It was quite something seeing that aircraft.
I bet.
And everything is, they're so meticulous. Watching these guys work is just blows your mind.
Yeah, it is a fabulous thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So that is the military news for this week. We haven't got a caption this week because I've literally, as Matt and Nev know, I've literally done a few miles this week in the truck and haven't had a chance to do anything.
No.
But Captionist will be back on the show next week. And any more points of order for the show, guys? I know
we've got a little bit of a meet up tomorrow. Us and all of us together in the production team, where we tried to get together at the start of the year, but because of operational circumstances, we weren't able to. We work out what we're trying to be doing for the remainder of the year for you guys in terms of air shows, meetups, that kind of thing. So once we've worked it all out, we will put together a little sort of calendar for ourselves so we know what we're doing and where we've got to be. And we will share that with you, of course.
Indeed, indeed.
We're looking forward, especially in the summer months, to doing some kind of minor meetup at one of the aviation museums. That will be nice.
Absolutely.
Carlos and I already got the Jersey Air Show booked for September. We're going to look at what else we can do this year as well. So
Indeed.
Looking forward to coming up with some good suggestions. And if you've got some suggestions about where you would like us to come to, Hobby Time's already said Cosford.
Well, like the sound of that.
Agree with that. It's a good place to go. Then do let us know as well.
Definitely.
We'll be doing that tomorrow, working out a bit of a plan. And then we'll come back to you with what we'll be doing.
And of course, if you want to share some of your ideas with us, one of the easiest ways to do that is to take yourselves to our various points of contact, shall we say. One of the easy ones is just taking yourself to our WhatsApp number. That is +44 757 2249166. That's +44 757 2249166. You can also get in touch with us via our email address. That's probably the easiest way. We all get to see that one, and you will definitely get a response either from myself or Nev on that one. As I say, if you've got any suggestions about some of the places that we should visit this year, we're quite keen on doing a bit of a sort of like an aviation museum sort of tour, aren't we? So we'll be very much inviting your suggestions. podcast@planetalkinguk.com is our email address. That's podcast@planetalkinguk.com. Don't forget, of course, you can follow everything that we're up to on our social media pages. You can search Twitter, Facebook and Instagram for our social media handle, which is Plane Talking UK, all as one word. That's Plane Talking UK, all as one word. And of course, don't forget our wonderful website. All the details you need on there. If you'd like to be a Patreon, for example, it's a way of donating to the show. It's just $1. That's all. That's all we ask, really, just to help keep the show on the air and just to help towards
keep Matt in
costs.
cables.
Keep me in cables, basically. It's www.planetalkinguk.com. That's www.planetalkinguk.com. There's also a link to our Amazon link, which means you can do your shopping and still contribute without having to sort of make a direct donation. We can still benefit from that as well. Lots of other cool things on the website. Take yourself there and take a look. And of course, you can go and buy yourself. We've got t-shirts and mugs available via the website as well.
Yes, there's a few patterings on social media this week, actually, about some mugs that were received.
Oh yes,
by some of our Australian listeners.
They made it safely.
I know Grant McCarran has, and Grant McCarran and Steve Vischer have both got their military grey mug now.
Yeah,
very good, glad to see that. And also, we did get an email as well, a very nice email as well from James Graves Brown, who won the A400M tag, which eventually made its way over across to the US, and he's got that tag now, and he's got that in his display cabinet at home, and he's very chuffed with that as well. So well done to you. We're going to discuss tomorrow as well. We're going to run some more competitions throughout the year. Nev's obviously got about 6.5 million books to give away. If you are a reader of aviation books, Nev's got them there. Nev,
yes.
Have you got a few there?
Oh, I see. You've got quite the box full.
Oh yes, we're not short. We've got about 8 books in there.
Carlos, I think they're in a box. I'm a bit worried they're going to be coming with.
They're all nice.
We've
also got a couple of the Red Arrows programs that we were given at Jersey.
Nice
to give away as well. So,
Carlos, they're in a box already. I'm a bit nervous that they're going to be coming with him tomorrow. I've got the nasty feeling.
No, my responsibility to post them out.
Oh, okay, right. Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair.
So we're gonna put our heads together, as we said tomorrow at our production meeting. We're gonna run some more competitions.
We are
very soon indeed for you to be in the chance with winning a book if you fancy a good old read.
Oh, and And also thanks to Bill from Ontario in Canada. He sent us a couple of emails during the week there, and I really loved the Bohemian Rhapsody one he sent us. That was really good.
Yes.
A link on YouTube. That was pretty awesome. Do feel free to get in touch with us. However you wish. It doesn't even have to be aviation related. I'll probably enjoy it a lot more if
Just
it's
let us
not
know what you had
aviation.
for tea last
Yeah,
night. We'd
absolutely.
love to
Yeah,
hear.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've had a good tea, I'm up for hearing all
Or
about
if
it.
you've
yeah.
got a good beer suggestion,
Oh yeah, definitely. We're a big fan of beer.
we're a big fan of ales here in the UK.
Yeah, indeed. I'm currently enjoying, I should say, a product that is only available from the company that I work for. Look, it's a very nice little Monteria Gold. It is a lovely little Shiraz 2020, so it's a good vintage, 3 years old, and it's lovely.
Dirk's off. He's off to go and do some drinking.
Is
I
he?
think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm loving this look because it just clings to the side of the glass. It's very nice.
And you're on your second bottle already, aren't you? Yeah.
Absolutely. Second glass. Second glass, anyway. Rude.
Before we all get completely trolleyed
Yes.
on alcohol,
We better say
we're gonna
goodbye,
say
hadn't we?
A big thanks to all the listeners today. Good thanks to all our YouTube viewers who've been watching the show and in the chat room tonight, all the usual people in the chat room. Good to see you all in there, as always. And also a big thanks to everyone who downloads the show each week and listens to it as an audio podcast, like I did this week when I listened back to last week's show.
How did we do?
So,
Were we all right?
it was lovely.
Very
It was
good.
lovely.
Okay.
I use the particular app I use is called Podbean.
Oh, is it?
Which works quite well for me. There are many other ones out there, but if you do download our show as an audio show each week, because some people don't have the time to tune in on a Friday. If you get a spare 5 minutes, we would love it if you could give us a little review on, say, iTunes, as many of them do. Let you write a review, because we'd love to hear your comments on there. And as Matt said earlier, we would love to hear feedback from you as well. If you want to send us an email, the email address is on our website as well. All the details are on our website. We'd love to hear from you, some feedback, albeit voice or text or message feedback. We'd love to hear from you.
Richard Adams is asking when the next Park Radio aviation special is.
Oh, blimey. Yeah, we'll have to run that by the station
I was
manager.
going to say,
Matt.
probably tomorrow morning around about 9:40 is usually when Carlos and I
Yes.
link up together on the actual radio. I still can't believe we do that. We usually do a sort of a Terry Wogan, Ken Bruce kind of handover, don't we? Like,
We do, yes.
between
I know.
each thing. And I'm at home tomorrow as well, you'll be pleased to know. So,
Oh, good.
Yeah, there we go.
So
Anyway,
that is where we're going to bring episode 445 to a close of the Plain Talking UK podcast. We'll be back next Friday. Hopefully, we'll have Armando back with us as well. We'll have a full team in here this next week.
Nev, looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Can't wait for that. Really looking forward to that.
I know, it's been a while, hasn't it? Yes.
It has.
Looking forward to heading east.
Indeed.
Where it's going to be a bit windy and wild, I believe, looking at the weather forecast. So glad we're not flying this time. After what happened
Bit
last
wet as
year.
well out there.
Yeah, a bit
Wet and
moist.
wild.
Moist is the word you're looking for.
Anyway, more on that later. Take care, everyone, and have a great weekend, whatever you're up to. And don't forget to stay tuned to PTUK. We'll be back next Friday at 7 o'clock on YouTube. So from me, Carlos here in my home studio, from Matt in the PTUK Master Suite Studios, and from the jet setter that is Neville Bounds over in his studio. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you. Bye.